On the agenda tonight, we're going to be taking a look at an audition from the Romanian version of The Voice. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So, I mean, this is well within the bracket of, talent shows, TV shows, all that kind of stuff that I occasionally get asked about. And we did feature an audition from the X Factor, and that caused waves here in the UK because they had auto-tuned a contestant's voice. So, as you can imagine, the media said, well, if it's a singing competition, why are you auto-tuning an audition to make it sound more accurate than it was? So, yeah, it was a bit of a scandal here. Now, with The Voice, the whole point about The Voice and the way that it was marketed here in the UK was that The Voice was just about the voice. By the way, if you don't know what The Voice is, somebody sings, the judges are facing the opposite way, and if they like the voice, so it's not judged on looks, it purely is the voice. If they like the voice, they press their button and they turn around to face the person who's singing. And I think that then means that it's effectively like a yes from the people when they turn their chairs round. And you need to get a yes to go through. I'm not sure if you need to get a particular amount of yeses, but we'll jump into this and see what happens.
Oh, ce melodie! Fuck!
What about sunrise? What about rain? What about all the things that you said we were today?
So, there are 4 judges, and you heard almost the explosion sound of them hitting their buzzers, which means that the vocalist has 4 yeses, and they press their buttons instantly. Let's have another look.
What about sunrise?
So on hearing that first vocal phrase, they're hitting their buzzers to pitch correction. So the voice here, you can see it is stuck at C#4, and you can actually hear the processing in it. I'm going to take down the accompaniment so that we can hear the vocal, and we'll go back again.
What about sunrise?
So, I mean, this is a new level just because of the way that this show was marketed here in the UK. And you've got to say that if there's a show called The Voice anywhere, this is in Romania, but the authenticity and credibility of the show has got to be worldwide. If you've got a show called The Voice, you've got to make sure there's no post-processing going on to the voice that we hear in the show. So I am editing myself in to the edit for this particular video, because on completing the video and editing it all together, I then realised that there was another performance after this performance because the judges asked Bogdan to perform it again. So I've had a look at that as well and run it through the pitch monitoring software so I can get that up on screen for you guys as well to show you the consistency with what you're about to see in the video that I recorded. But also just to mention at this point that what I'm saying in this video isn't saying that Bogdan can't sing. I'm pointing out that pitch correction has been applied to his audition by The Voice, by the TV company, by the production crew. It's not something that he's done to his own voice. In fact, his voice is better than this audition because this audition is taking out a lot of his expression with the pitch correction. So anyway, just quickly jumping into the second performance, we're just going to have a quick watch.
What about sunrise? What about rain?
So, I mean, unfortunately, they've tied their hands. Because they've pitch corrected the first performance, they've now got to pitch correct the second performance. Otherwise, it won't sound consistent. And the reason that the judges are standing up and just getting into it, and probably the reason for them becoming emotional, is because they're not hearing this. This is the pitch corrected version, so they're hearing Bogdan's natural voice, which, yeah, will be full of emotion, so that's why they have that reaction. And just quickly to take it to the end, because we have this final note, we know in the first performance they really heavily pitch corrected the beginning and the end, so now we'll look at this final note. So, yes, they've done exactly the same. In fact, at the end of the second performance, they've pitch corrected all of these notes. So we're just spot on here, spot on here, spot on there as well. But then going forward, I mean, it's almost like on this last section, the yellow line becomes the white line. You know, it almost disappears because it's so over the top of it. So it is being calibrated to what we can see, 440 hertz. But I had to throw this in there because I didn't know he then did another performance. And then I thought, people are going to say, but maybe he's just that good that he's done it twice in a row perfectly on the lines. Because as I always say, this is impossible. So I managed to find an actual live performance that isn't pitch corrected, and I just have to look around for it because there are videos that are labelled as live sessions and all that kind of stuff, but they're not actually live and unedited. So I found Bogdan's actual voice and him performing this song. But let's have a listen.
What about sunrise? What about rain?
And I mean, first of all, you can just tell that he's got a great voice and that he's really accurate pitch-wise, but he's not being squashed onto these lines. And hopefully you can see the difference between what we just looked at and what we're looking at now. So if I get rid of the backing and we'll go back here and maybe bring up on screen this as well. So this is from the Audition, the pitch corrected version. And what we're looking at are these lines and how the yellow line has been stuck to the white line, because that's the thing that doesn't happen naturally, and it's happening here and it's happening here as well. So then when I get rid of this, hopefully you'll be able to see how much movement we have in a natural voice. So it kind of goes above, below, above, and then it kind of goes down through the line. And then here we're below the line, we're below the line, we go up through the line. So there's so much more variation in a non-pitch corrected vocal, so much more expression than when we bring on the pitch corrected version. Again, hopefully you can see the difference between these two, that these look like little peaks, like mountain peaks all the time, and this just looks like a block. And I know that this video is gonna go on for years because we look at Michael Jackson's voice at the end of this video, but I just want to play through the chorus of this live performance to point something else out.
All the love we shared before, did you ever stop to notice it's right here as we make sure?
And I mean, this is great because it really backs up what I say all the time about great singers, is that they can hit these lines, you know, occasionally. And here we had it at the bottom, you might be able to see the C sharp 4. We are looking like we're right on the line because, you know, Bogdan has that ability to be that accurate pitch-wise. But if we zoom into it and we have a look at it more closely, where is it, down here, you'll see this tiny variation of actually, you know, if we're being really strict about it, you would say that that line is above the white line. Great singers have this ability to be really close to the line and ascend through the line, descend through the line. But yeah, they're never really perfectly on the line for more than one note at a time. You know, they might hit it two or three notes in a whole performance, but not just consistently all the time with a vocal. Not when it's natural, only when it's been manipulated. But we'll listen on. So, what you really get from this is just how great Bogdan's voice is, but how accurate it is as well. His intervals are just spot on with this run. Let me just go forward to here. So this is natural, and I'm going to bring in the TV show. So hopefully you can start to see the way that the A sharp 4 is squashed to the line. It even gets pinned to the line there on the B4. And the G4, again, we've got a natural note here that got through. Here we're then getting, we are ascending to the line, but then we're stuck to it. And here, again, absolutely stuck to the line. So if we go now to the natural vocal, hopefully you can start to see how jagged this is. How many spikes we're getting. We never really get anything that's straight on a line for any length of time. And hopefully this video and this bit that I'm editing in will give you an appreciation of this. The difference between his real live vocal and the TV show version of the vocal that's just made to sound, you know, more mechanical, less full of emotion, all those kinds of things. So yeah, I'll take this performance all day. Just, you know, a great voice that is natural, and you just get to appreciate how good it is with all the expression within it. So now we'll jump back into my original video, which was shot before I saw all of this stuff and everything that I've just said. So let's get back into it. And I'm going to get into the reasons why I think they've done this. But the other thing is the song. It's Earth Song by Michael Jackson, but you probably already know that. The reaction to the song is already positive. So if we go back here.
Oh, c'è melodie.
So instantly one of the judges is saying, oh, I love this song. So you think that they're already, you know, predisposed to think, oh, I love this song. So if he's anywhere close to hitting a note, they're probably going to like it. And his tone is quite similar in the verse to Michael Jackson. So anyway, I can understand why they've turned around, but trying to understand why it's been pitch corrected is another thing entirely. And the pitch correction is dotted in and around the performance. So some of it is his voice and some of it is his voice pitch corrected. When we're thinking about the judges and what they're hearing, I think what's happened is this is really loud live on these shows. You know, it is like listening to a live performance, you know, with a huge PA. So hearing the voice clearly is very difficult. When you go to a live gig, you've got the drums, you've got the hi-hat, you've got lots of top-end frequencies, high-end frequencies that are battering your ears. And the mid to high-end frequencies, the voice is going to sit in there, especially if you've got somebody who is hitting high notes. The higher they go, the higher their frequency is going to be. We're not hearing that original audio, and the most likely reason for that can only be because during the TV show, of course, we're hearing a direct feed to the mixer through the microphone. So we haven't got all of that cloaking going on. We're hearing the voice exactly as it was sung. So if he comes in and he says, what about, and he's slightly off with that first phrase, the producers of the show think, oh, how can we justify all 4 judges turning round instantly to this voice? Because they've heard something different, because they're listening to the live sound. So that's probably why they've pitch corrected it, and probably why they've pitch corrected a lot of this performance. If you are at a gig, try this. If it's really loud, put your fingers in your ears, get rid of all the top end frequency, and you will now hear the vocalist's voice clearly. So there's a top tip. If you really want to judge somebody singing in a live venue, that's the way to do it. So anyway, you'll be able to see here, of course, the judges haven't got their fingers in their ears because it does look a little bit offensive if you do that, but just do it quickly because you'll realise, oh, now I can hear the voice more clearly. Let's listen on.
What about sunrise? What about rain?
Even that second C sharp 4 there, that was pitch corrected as well. Especially at the beginning of the performance, it is so important to be accurate pitch-wise, and if it's ever so slightly off considering the judge's reaction, then yeah, you're going to have a problem, because people say, oh, why are they instantly turning around for this performance and they didn't for this other one? You know, that might have been a little bit flat at the beginning or whatever. So yeah, the fact that they've even done it in the first place, and this is something that you guys can discuss in the comments section and let me know what you guys think. Because the fact that they've even done it in the first place on a show called The Voice, you think, well, where does this rabbit hole end? You know, at what point are people going to stop being deceived as to what they're watching? If you're watching a show called The Voice, I would assume that you're hearing the voice of the person. But obviously that's not the case anymore. So yeah, I don't know where this ends, but we'll keep on looking at things. So at least I can point them out so you know where we are in the rabbit hole. You know, as to where it ends, nobody knows, but maybe we'll find out. Let's listen on.
What about all the things that you said we were today?
And when I say about it being pitch corrected in places, this is right between the notes. So we can see that his pitch isn't really bang on all the time. And it might have actually been the case that he was like this on the intro, because it's so loud, they can't really hear it. Anyway. Is there a time? What about? I mean, even that sounded a little bit like a processor was working to get it to the C#4. It seems to be always on this C#4. All the things that you said was yours and mine. And on a different note, the D4, again, really sharp, and we're actually closer to the D#4 there. So this, again, is unedited. This was his voice live. Did you ever stop to notice all the blood we shared before? And now, I think you've got to factor in nerves as well, because we're hearing little parts like that previous phrase where he was quite far off the note, but now he's getting higher into his range. You know, we're up at E4 now, so when he's leaning into it and he goes, did you ever stop to notice? You can hear that, oh, maybe the verse is a bit low. It doesn't sit where he likes to sing. Did you ever stop to notice? This crying girl is screaming sure. And interestingly there, in the pre-chorus, he's gone into a kind of lighter head voice sound, as Michael Jackson sounds like he does, but Michael Jackson had such a range and a high voice, or at least he sung mostly in his head voice, so the notes sound sometimes like they're falsetto, but it's really just a light head voice. And here, when he's going up to that A4, he's going na 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 na. It's kind of getting lighter up there, rather than going na 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 na, and kind of, you know, taking the chest voice up a little bit higher. But anyway, just from a vocal perspective, it's just interesting. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened there. It might have been this A#4 that's just been squashed to the line. Maybe that's why it sounded a little bit weird. But again, we've got this that kind of lighter sound into the I mean, in places we are getting that ever so slight processing sound. When we're kind of hitting these lines, we can kind of make it out. So, but it hasn't been pitch corrected the whole way through. It's just little bits here and there. I used to dream, I used to glance beyond the stars. Now I don't know where we are. Although I know we drifted on. And, I mean, the judges go crazy. But, again, I think that is understandable because this note here, I don't believe this has been pitch corrected. And the killer with this is that when he's going up to this note,
now I don't know where we are.
Here, now I don't know where we are.
Although I know we drifted.
Ooh, actually, that did sound a bit processed. But taking that out, he's probably getting close to this note. Back to the point that the judges are reacting like this because he's now hitting this note with, you know, more of a mixed voice and a little bit of the chest voice in there, rather than having that kind of light and airy sound. So it has more of a dramatic impact. So I can understand the judge's reaction, but kind of listening to it again, it did sound a bit processed. Oh, and we can just see at the top here that, yeah, that B4 was absolutely bang on the line from this humongous slide up. So it meant that we had a really fast slide up and then we got locked at a pitch. So yeah, that was, again, just edited ever so slightly. And there, again, they allowed this through, but then, I mean, this C sharp 5, I could hear, was pitch corrected. You can see actually a tiny yellow dot there, which is exactly on the line. It would have been joined up, but we didn't get to see that. But let's listen on. No. And going back to what I said at the beginning, the start of the performance is really important, so I'm not surprised that they pitch corrected that. And as depressing as it is to look at this line, I'm not surprised that they pitch corrected this as well, because it's the final note you're left with. So if this is flat, and if he just missed the note significantly, it kind of almost puts a bit of a downer on the performance because the last note wasn't very good. So they've made sure that that is absolutely squashed to within an inch of its life onto that line. So yes, a bit of a shame. I just want to listen to that again. It sounds like we even had a bit here as well. I mean, if you were listening to that and you didn't know that it was a human voice, well, it is going to sound like a keyboard anyway, but listen to it again, slow motion. You know, if you were to take a sample of that note, you could literally, well, it is 440 hertz. This is what keyboards are tuned to. So you could literally take this and make it one of your keys, and it'll be perfect with the rest of the piano. And like I've already said, human voices don't work like that. Human voices aren't pianos, and they're not programmed. But this is, because it's pitch correction. We're going to be taking a look at this song by Mikhail Jackson. I believe he's done quite an elaborate video for this, but we'll see where his voice falls, if it actually goes on these lines at all.
What about sunrise? What about rain?
So the first phrase, and we know from the previous video that these were stuck to the lines, Mikhail has been ever so slightly sharp of the C sharp 4, and he's then significantly sharp of the C sharp 4. And if I was to zoom in on this, let me just pull this to the right place. The vibrato, if you're dissecting the vibrato, which is the wobble, if you go to the middle of the note, that's what our ears are going to hear as the pitch that's being hit. So we've got the line not going directly through this. Of course, this isn't pitch corrected, so we get to see the natural voice of Michael Jackson. The massive point about all this is the emotion of the vocal is, communicated through pitch, as well as the overall sound of the voice, the tone of the voice, and the lyrical content of the song. That's how we digest the emotion to attribute to what we're hearing. And this is slightly sharp. We'll keep on watching.
What about all the things that you said we were to gain?
And again, look here how we're sharp. And then we're actually ascending through the D sharp 4. So we're not stuck on a line. We start a little bit flat and then go up through the line. And then we are, I mean, pretty much above the line here sharp, but then we go down. So already we're starting to see a flow in the vocal, and this is how vocal cords work. Literally, they vibrate against each other to make sound.
What about killing fears?
I mean, take a look at that for pitch. I mean, that is closer to the D4. Ironically, the Audition, in places he did this. So he was actually quite true to the original pitch and therefore the original emotion of the song. So had he not been pitch corrected, it might have sounded better. But obviously the producers are looking at these lines and thinking, oh no, he didn't hit that line, so we've got to make it now on the line so that there's a reason why all the judges turned around so quickly. But ironically, the reason they probably turned round was that it sounded better than we actually get to hear in the end.
Is there a time? What about all the things that you said was yours and mine?
So yeah, really interesting to look at here, actually, how regularly Michael goes sharp of the note, which is going to put something extra in there. It's going to make it stand out emotionally, and it's going to put that angst in there, the worry of the song. That's how Michael's achieving this. And he's not achieving it by intentionally trying to sing 40 cents sharp at the end of his phrase. You know, he hits bang on and then vibratos above. He's not doing that trying to match his pitch to, you know, these lines in 440 hertz. He's just singing with emotion, and we know that this is what happens with emotion. This is how it is communicated.
All the things that you said was yours and mine. Did you ever stop to notice?
I mean, you could go into such detail with this. I won't in this video, otherwise it's going to go on for years. But in music, a call and a response is something that happens all the time. And you can start to see that the first phrase we hear,
is there a time?
Here, is there a time? And he goes sharp with that.
What about all the things that you said was yours and mine?
Yours and mine. And then he keeps it straight on the line. So, emotionally, that is providing a full stop. Because it's more now a matter of fact. There's no emotion to it. We know, we don't know, but I know the likelihood of Michael Jackson being sharp in the chorus with the, you know, the exhalation and the release of emotion and just saying, yeah, and doing that, the likelihood of him being sharp is huge because there's emotion in there. There's angst. There's almost anger. And that is an emotion that comes with being above the note. And thankfully, the pitch monitoring software has taken Michael's voice there. So we're not hearing the backing vocals. It has pitched it at the A sharp 4. And guess what? Well, it's actually the B4, but it goes up and then comes down a semitone. But look how sharp we actually go, sharp of the B4, come down, sharp of the A sharp 4, sharp of the B4 again. So this is what I mean about that's just the emotion making that happen. And again, I mean, we almost lost it there, but look how sharp we are of the A sharp 4. This would have been pitch corrected to the A sharp 4 nowadays, which means that the angst, the concern, the anger, the expression, the emotion in the voice would have been lost if you'd stuck it to the line. We wouldn't have the sound that Michael can achieve by singing it this way. I say singing it this way just by singing it with emotion. But anyway, like I said, I don't want this video to go on for years, but interesting to see how, when you look at the original and the way that Michael just expressed himself, how pitch correction would take that out. Thank you guys for requesting the previous audition to take a look at, and I know that some people, especially those that request videos, who are hoping that what they're hearing isn't pitch corrected, and it just so happens that on this particular occasion, for a talent show that is about the voice has been edited. So yeah, sorry state of affairs in my opinion. But anyway, thank you guys for requesting that video. As I said, keep those suggestions and requests coming in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!